Hello and welcome to the brand new season of TGP2. It is season 32 on a brand new F1 game with new cars, which means we have no idea who is going to win tonight and who is going to be fighting for the remaining points in this season. So I'm joined here in the commentary box by former TGP2 champion Jack Craig. Welcome, Jack. Are you as excited as I am for the season to get underway tonight?
Hello, Luca, and I'm absolutely buzzing for this season to get underway. It's great to be back in TGP after such a long stint away, and I have absolutely no idea who is going to be the quickest guy over the course of this season, but I'm so excited to find out.
Good to hear. So tell me, obviously we've been on this now for 32 seasons. The cars have changed various ways. The game has gotten better in various ways. What kind of challenges will the drivers be facing compared to previous seasons, do you reckon?
Well, obviously, the last couple of games have all been the same, with the same cars, the same regulations, new regs, so everyone is back to a learning curve, and we've all got to study and find out what is the best way to get the quickest car. And obviously, the more experienced drivers might not have that advantage they've had over the previous seasons in TGP, so we're looking forward for the guys who maybe have been further down the back in previous games to maybe close that gap, and we should have some better, closer racing.
Similar to the way that they're trying to do the same in the regulations for actual F1, it's good to see that that kind of translates into the game as well. So, as you kind of look out from all of this, you have 8 wins and 3 poles to your name in the TGP series. What does it take to be a pole sitter and a race winner in TGP2, and in turn become a champion?
A lot of it, for me personally, it was down to composure. I wasn't necessarily the quickest man on the track over one lap, but when it did come down to that in the heat of the moment battles on the track, I was one of the more composed guys personally, I think. And I think it just takes that discipline and respect for other guys on the track. You just got to keep going and never give up, and just got to make sure that you go as fast as you can for as long as you can.
I completely agree there. It's I think the famous saying goes in TGP2, anything can happen in TGP, and it normally does. So we're just going to be following here Daniel P. Wheelnut on his flying lap attempt. Do you want to take us for a talk through the lap? Oh, no, actually, sorry. He's come into the pits. I thought he was going to go for a flyer there. Let's go on board with Mr. John instead, who is starting an outlap. Maybe John 1874 might be further round the lap. He might be a better choice to go here. So do you want to talk us through this lap as he goes round?
John 1874, yep, he's just coming on to the start-finish straight now. The Aston Martin, it looks beautiful this season, opens up the DRS, and he's currently on provisional pole, trying to secure that even further into turn 1. He wants to brake just at around 120 metres, and he's gone straight off on my screen, but I think it's just a bit of lag. And the lag is crazy at the moment. I'm not quite seeing where he is on the circuit. He's coming into turn 4 now.
Yes, yeah, just coming into turn 4 now.
Takes it nice into gear 3. He wants to be hugging that curb and using all the track on the exit he can possibly. He is now beating his current time at the moment, but not by much, so he'll want to pick up the pace to extend that lead over Dom Smith in second. That must be a mistake on the standings from the FIA. Into the hardest part of this track, all that load on that front left tyre, that is where the guys are going to have to manage their tyres in the race to stop that extreme tyre wear. But into the left-hander, braking right at the 50-metre board on the big swoop. He's got to avoid this curb on the right, otherwise he's going to be saying hello to the banister. And he's taken it pretty well so far. He's just 2.5 tenths up on his current time, so it looks like he'll be extending his reign at provisional pole. If he can get this final corner perfect, he wants just a wee bit wide on the apex, but he does use as much of the exit curb as he can. He opens up the DRS for the final time, and he does improve with a 1:29.3.
Thank you for that lap guide. A 1:29.3. 5.5 tenths quicker than Dom Smith, 93 at the moment. We've still got Mayor Quemby and Daniel P. Wheelnut out there. Daniel P. Wheelnut going for another attempt on that outlap, and probably going to be his last considering the time here. So this will be interesting to see, and I'm sure we're going to have some more action come the end of the quali.
Well, obviously former champion Daniel P. Wheelnut, he is not currently anywhere near the pace, but we do expect him to close the gap, being such a talented driver himself.
We do, yes, indeed. So Daniel P. Wheelnut winding up to start on his flyer here, coming round the final corner, ready to take that. DRS is wide open as he's coming down the straight, and let's just see what he can do there. Is there anybody else on the current flyer? So Blair Grills currently going through into the second sector, and coming through to that nasty left-hander. I cannot nail this in the game. It's just one of those where I've got to sacrifice a bit of time in order to make sure I don't spin, basically. So let's see what his sector 2 time will be coming through as when he comes around this sweeper. And coming around, don't touch the inside curb, as Jack said. What time are we on? Okay, he's 4.5 tenths up. So this, if depending on what he's done throughout the rest of the lap, this could be getting up to the podium positions here for Blair Grills. And hopefully that traffic in front isn't going to affect his time here. So as he comes around the final corner, he's taking it well, not taking that curb on the outside that can really slow you down at times. DRS wide open. What's this time going to be here? It's third place, 3.5 tenths up on his previous, so good attempt there from Blair Grills. Let's get back on board with Daniel P. Wheelnut here as he's coming into the final sector. He's got a little bit of traffic there. Let's hope that hasn't hindered him in any way, and see if he can get up into the podium positions and challenge John 1874 for that pole position. So comes into the final corner, around there. He hasn't taken any curb. It's good. Steaming down to the line, DRS wide open. What's it going to be? Oh, 3 tenths off John 1874. It's a good lap. That might have been an absolute stunner lap from John in hindsight now. So, yeah, let's just see. So, anybody else on an outlap or on a flyer here, Jack?
Dominic Smith is just on the back straight. He's looking to start his next lap, and hopefully he can improve, because that gap is quite big. 6 tenths, well, 5.5 tenths, as Dom comes round the final corner now to start his last lap in the qualifying session. He does get that DRS wide open, which accumulates for around 12 kilometers an hour extra speed on the straight. He'll be hoping that Ferrari can't get every single little bit out of that. Into gear 1 for the first turn, a bit low, but he does get a great exit with some great traction onto the next DRS straight. And we'll see what his sector time is currently for sector 1 when he gets round this corner, and the Alpine takes a bit of a weird line to get out of Dom's way, but I'm sure Dominic Smith will appreciate it. And he's currently 3 tenths up as he does go round the big swooping left-hander one more time. Takes no curb, which is probably the better way to do it on this game, considering how much of a hindrance that curb is. It does send you spinning if you're not very careful. Can Dom get this part right? Oh, he takes it pretty good. He gets a wee bit too much of that curb, but doesn't get too much of the exit curb, so he is going to be still looking good for pole position at the moment. Jacko's just jumped up into third, so Dom does need to improve to keep going for that front row. He takes no curb, so he's not going to be saying hello to the ambulance on the right hand side at the moment. And it's looking good from Dom Smith so far. He gets on the power nice and early, and that Ferrari is looking very quick around Bahrain at the moment. We'll see him coming into the final corner now, hags the touchline, and gets none of that exit curb. He'll open the DRS for one final time around Bahrain, and it's P2. Oh, he's just under a tenth off John.
That was a close. It was a great effort. It was very close, very tidy lap there from Dom Smith, and he's going to be gutted that he just missed out on that. And I imagine John 1874 will be going for another attempt himself here as he's coming around the first corner. So it will be interesting to see if he can extend his lead out at pole there, or if anybody here can challenge him for that. Daniel P. Wheelnut has actually finished his qualifying now. Cena, only 3 tenths behind, could be challenging for that pole as well. Jacko seems to have dropped out of his attempt here, going very slowly, so I think his qualifying session is over. Mayor Quemby is 2 tenths up, but I don't think that's going to be enough to challenge for pole here, so let's see on board. Oh, Cena's lost his wing. He's in the wall, so that's his qualifying session over. Who else is on track? Jacko is coming into the pits, as I mentioned before. So, yeah, I think that is probably qualifying over. We'll just
Quimby can jump up into P5 at the moment, depending on his final sector. So it could be a good start for the Aston Martin pair. First and fifth would be a good result for them, I imagine, in qualifying, if Owen can get this last part right.
So he's coming around. DRS is wide open. What's the time going to be? He's up to fourth, 3/10 behind John 1874. That's a great attempt there, and he'll be happy with that. With the Aston Martin in a tactical position, ready for the race. So great. John 1874 extends his lead yet again, just showing that flex there. 3.5 tenths ahead of Dom yet again. So John 1874 either has a fantastic setup for Bahrain, or he'll be one to watch this season. Going for the championship win there. So, yeah, that's everybody. Sorry.
Does that affect his tyres for the race, or have I counted wrong if he's taking an extra set of softs?
Well, I think it depends. I think if you use all 4 sets of tyres in qualifying, then it could affect your race strategy. You might have to use some of the used softs, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Come the race, what the kind of tyre wear is looking like. Yeah, so that's your quali over. That was a good qualifying. Nice and unpredictable, like we like to see. So let me take you for a run through the order here. So John 1874 on pole there, 3.5 tenths ahead of Dom Smith in second place. Daniel P. Wheelnut, another 2 tenths back in third place, with Mayor Quemby in fourth. Cena in fifth, with Jacko in sixth. Blair Grill 7th, Speed Sully 8th, M. Shep 94 9th, Nell Jack in 10th, rounding out the top 10 there. So Mr. John in 11th, Indecisive Mackie in 12th, IRT Kaya 19 in 13th, Stereogram 23 in 14th, Mick Schumacher in 15th, and Mike Noon looking like he had a qualifying ban, running out the order there. So what do you reckon we should look for in the race here? I'd imagine it'll be the standard kind of things. Cautious into turn 1. Who can utilise that battery in the first lap, Jack?
I think it's all down to the race start and just avoiding that trouble. We don't want an early safety car, as much as safety cars do entertain the race very much. I think it's just getting that first sector right, getting as much positions gained as you can, but of course you don't want to get into trouble and ruin your race on lap 1. Obviously, the race can't be won on lap 1, but it certainly can't be lost.
Yeah, that's definitely first lap is definitely crucial in a lot of races at Bahrain, especially here. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers will be doing with strategy, whether they'll go a reverse strategy to start on the mediums but sacrifice a bit of the start but have a bit of a longer stint, or if they're all going to go softs. If it's going to be me, I'd be going softs, judging on how strong the race starts are this season on this game. But drivers are all just getting ready now as we wait for the grid to form up and to set. Some drivers just going over their strategy for a final time before they go ahead. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights under the night sky here, and off they go. And it is a good start for Dom Smith 93, right into the lead there, with Daniel P. Wheelnut coming through the order as well, and John 1874 has dropped right to the back. What's it going to look like here going through turn 1? Is there going to be many incidents? And there's been a spin in the background by the looks of it, but Daniel P. Wheelnut struggling for traction out there, and Mayor Quemby has got the run on him going into turn 4 with John 1874 right behind, and Mayor Quemby is going to make that move stick. That is a good move through there, and a crucial one in the first corner, as Dom Smith 93 has already gained 6 tenths in the opening lap, Jack.
What an absolute crazy start. The AlphaTauri got absolutely swiped on the start-finish straight, so his race is going to have to be a recovery. And Dominic Smith, what a start off the line. Owen as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to John. It's a terrible start, but M-Ship is at 5 positions, and Mike Noon is at 8 off that start.
Yeah, it's a good start for Dom Smith, 5.5 tenths, and holding that gap out in the lead. That'll be crucial to give him a bit of a buffer for when DRS does become available. And yeah, it looks like John 1874 has either had a spin or has had a bit of contact in the background there. I didn't see any damage on his front wing. when he was going through the broadcast camera there. But yeah, all still relatively close come the first lap. We've got some people going wide there through that corner. I think it was Cena going a bit wide there, maybe having to give up a bit, but Speed Sully is right on the inside here, coming into the final corner. He's going to take that position from Mike Noon by the looks of it, but Mike Noon is coming back at him, and who is going to use the most battery to try and get down the back here as Dom Smith takes the fastest lap of the race. Mike Noon diving back under the slipstream there. Who's going to be the latest of the breakers as they come into turn one? Mike Noon has got the inside line, and he looks like, if he can avoid the cutback there, is going to make that one stick. But Mayor Quimby right on the back of Dom Smith here. Dom Smith may have had a mistake, or Mayor Quimby has put the battery to good use to drop that gap, whereas Daniel P. Wheelnut a second behind. So not settled yet, are they, Jack?
No, absolutely not. The race has been absolutely hectic, and I tell you what, on the start-finish straight when we were watching Owen and Sully, it was a great overtake from Cena on M-Ship. They had a good wee battle for the whole sector, and the Haas driver did get ahead, and what an overtake it was on the start-finish straight.
No, it's good to hear. It looks like there's been a mistake here from Mike Noon. Mike Noon looks like he's gone for a spin, and he has overheated those tyres as he's struggling to get traction to move away now, and there seems to be position changes going on all over the back of the field. But I'm going to go back to the battle for the first and second place here, as this is going to be hotting up as DRS is going to get activated on the next lap.
Well, Owen is doing his absolute best to pressure Dom Smith. Dom is looking after the battery just a tiny wee bit better than Owen, but not by much, and the Aston Martin is literally trying to get as close as he possibly can to Dom, but Dom seems to be taking that last corner a wee bit wider than Owen, and it seems to be getting him a bit more traction out the corner, because Dom seems to pull away on that start-finish straight, but I wonder if DRS will change that later in the race.
It'll be an interesting one. I just saw a graphic come up that the pit window for the soft runners is going to open around laps 6 to 9. So crucial these 3 laps are to get that track position, or to even try the undercut here. The undercut can be quite powerful from what I understand, but with the new rules and we're moving to surface and carcass tyre temperatures for this game, so a lot harder to heat up those tyres coming out of the pits and trying to keep that position. It's so difficult. So I think in terms of the pit strategy and the pit race in general, this will be tough for the drivers.
I think the pit window coming out of the pit on them cold tyres would actually suit people like John and Kai. I think they've not started on the mediums, but if you started on the mediums, it'd be a bit easier to warm up them softs. But I think all 16 runners did start on the softs. That does make that tyre heat up a bit harder on the medium, so if you pit earlier for the undercut, it's going to maybe not help you in the short term, but it would help you in the long run when your rivals do pit. And Owen is just losing a wee bit of time, not much to Dom at the moment, but Dom will be pretty happy with that start, won't he?
Yeah, he'll be very happy. I've just seen Mick Schumacher spin in the background there. That turning there is such a difficult one. I struggled myself yesterday in TGB1, and it's just you've got to be so careful to watch your tyres as Daniel P. Wheelnut takes the fastest lap of the race so far and really getting the push on to really close the gap here. It's now become a 3-horse race at the front with DRS really helping there, and Daniel P. Wheelnut starting to use some of his battery by the looks of it to get well within that fight, as Owen is right. Is he going to go for it going into turn 4 here? Yes, he is. He's going for it. But can Dom cut back? Dom cuts back. Is he going to keep this position? Who's going to be brave going into here as Dom backs out? And Mayor Quimby has taken the lead of the race. Daniel P. Wheelnut looking now to pounce onto Dom there as he's had to defend. So not over yet.
It was very brave, very smart from Dom to back out of that move. Not that Dom shouldn't have went down the inside, but I think on lap 4 of 14, you don't want to be crashed out. And Blair Grills has just been bumped in the back by the Aston Martin further down the grid, but it was very smart from Dom to back out of that, and you don't want to have any accidents this early on in the season.
No, I agree. Is Mike Noon already going into the pits here? Is he going to try a major undercut here? Could be a little bit early, considering the tyre wear can really get to you on this track with the traction zones coming out of those slow corners. So let's see if that's going to be a gamble that's going to pay off. He's on the medium tyres. Sometimes this game likes to put you on the hards, which are definitely a big no around Bahrain. So an interesting one to see here. Let's see what Daniel P. Wheelnut and Dom Smith can do here with the DRS.
Well, it looks more like Daniel will overtake Dom than Dom on Owen at the moment, but they're just around 5 tenths behind each other at the moment. It seems to be forming a couple of DRS trains as Neil Jack does take M-Shape further back in the grid, but it seems to be that we've got 2 DRS trains at the moment, so hopefully when the pit stops come in around 1 or 2 laps, they kind of break up a wee bit and we see some new moves and some overtakes.
Yeah, for sure. So we're on lap 5, and I'd imagine that we're going to probably see drivers starting to pit this lap and into the coming laps into the night here in Bahrain. And yeah, it's going to be all about how hard they're going to push, how much of a gap that they can get to their fellow drivers around them. As Blair Grills gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. That seems like quite a harsh one. It looks like he's also retired. Not sure what's really happened there, whether he's just retired in the pits because of the 10-second time penalty or he's had an accident. I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, and I wonder if we're going to see any safety cars that are going to shake up the strategy and the order a bit here.
Well, it would be pretty crazy to get a safety car. The way he parked the car seemed okay. It seemed pretty far off the circuit, and it seems like we're going to be okay as the yellow flag has gone away. And Dom is actually starting to re-catch Owen a bit quicker than Daniel's catching Dom. So can Dom make a move this time around on the start-finish straight? He's going to get an extra couple of kilometres an hour down the straight, but it doesn't seem like it's going to affect that much. And Daniel P. Wheelnut is actually pitted for the undercut, so these guys are going to have to step it on for that to cover him off.
Yeah, for sure. So Daniel P. Wheelnut taking that undercut, seeing if he can get position there, getting out of the DRS train and getting some clean air in order to try and jump these guys in the pit window. But yeah, Dom Smith sticking behind Owen Quemby. I'm not sure how much battery he's using to keep up with him. Maybe just using that DRS just to stay in touching distance. But yeah, let's just see how this unfolds and whether the guys are going to react to Daniel P. Wheelnut pitting here. You don't want to particularly be pitting at the same time when being so close here, as sometimes they don't release the cars quick enough. I think unsafe pit releases have been switched on for this league, but I could be wrong. But either way, yeah, let's just see what can happen here, as Dom Smith seems to be dropping back a little bit here now. Maybe Owen is on a push lap to come in. I just don't know yet.
Dom's been saving the battery this whole lap, and Owen's starting to seemingly get under that 10% mark, but Dom has been saving it, so that's why he's dropping back. The turn 1, Neil Jack, the other Ferrari, was actually taken out by someone. I'm not sure if that's Jacko giving the position back. I'm not sure who took Neil Jack out, but it seems like he's getting back up the order, no problem.
That's good to see that he's making a recovery drive here. No wing damage from what I can see, but Dom Smith now outside of that 1 second as Owen Quemby does pit. So Dom Smith going for a bit of a longer strategy here, hopefully looking for an offset on those medium tyres. But it'll be interesting to see where Daniel P. Wheelnut is on the track compared to Owen Quemby and whether he'll be able to jump him in the pits.
Well, this is a bit of a strange strategy from Dom. I know myself, I like the overcut. It could work around here if maybe he's gambling on Owen and Daniel P. Wheelnut having a wee scrap, and Daniel P. Wheelnut is actually coming down that straight. It's going to be interesting to see, because Owen's going to have to brake perfectly to not go wide, and he's gone wide a wee bit, but it seems like he's got that comfortably at the moment. He's just going to have to get them tyres nice and warm before Daniel gets into the way of the game.
Yeah, so that undercut strategy not working for Daniel P. Wheelnut as he had hoped. Mayor Quemby doing a great job there coming out of the pit lane, not to spin it and not to lose too much time. So good job there from Mayor Quemby, and he looks like he's got that as soon as he gets those medium tyres warmed up. But it's going to be interesting to see what Dom Smith's going to be doing here and whether he's going to go for a couple of laps. Maybe he's waiting for an old safety car. Daniel P. Wheelnut has got past Mayor Quemby just as I was watching Dom Smith. Not sure what happened there, as Mayor Quemby had a spin, as he made a mistake, gone a bit too deep, but Daniel P. Wheelnut will be more than happy there with a 2-second gap already. So did you see what happened there, Jack?
He went a wee bit wide, them tyres are not heated up enough, and this is actually, if Dom pits right now, he would come out ahead of these two guys as long as that pit stop is perfect. This could be the ultimate game from Dom. He could have pulled off a great one here after the mistake from the Aston Martin.
Yeah, Daniel, Dom, it does come into pit. Let's see how that pit stop goes. But I've just seen a couple of passes here on my screen. I didn't quite catch them, but yeah, let's just see. Neljak taking the lead of the race here, going even longer than Dom. Maybe a complete different strategy for each Ferrari. But Dom Smith coming out of the pit lane now as he's been taken over by John 1874. But where is Daniel P. Wheelnut? He's coming down the back straight. This is going to probably be close as well with the tyre warm-up. Dom taking it very cautiously going through turn one there. And Daniel P. Wheelnut, 1.5 seconds behind Dom. Can he make that gain to take away that deficit that he has got from those pit stops?
Dom's just got to be careful here, get them tyres nice and warm. He's got about double the battery Daniel's got, so Dom's just got to make sure he keeps him behind, but not taking too much of a risk to keep ahead. But Dom should have him if he can get them tyres warm. And John's actually pitted, I believe, so his tyres are going to be absolutely destroyed come the end of the race, unless I'm wrong. I can't check that myself. No, he's not stopped, so Dom should be okay for the provisional lead of the race. But Daniel is right on his chaff coming on to the DRS straight. Dom's just got to hold on. I think if Dom can't hold him off over the next 2 laps, Dom should be okay. The battery deficit is huge at the moment. Dom's just got to try and push him side by
around
side.
the outside. This is an ambitious move. Is it going to stick? Going around the outside. Daniel still hanging it around the outside. Is it going to work? Dom Smith taking a bit more of a cautious line there, but they are now on a drag race down to the final corner. Dom's going to have the inside line. What's going to happen here? Daniel has made that somehow stick, but how much battery did he use for that? Dom's now probably going to be in DRS range. DRS wide open for Dom Smith. This is going to be close. Daniel harvesting down the main straight. It looks like he's run out of battery. So Dom will be into the lead into the first corner, with Daniel P. Wheelnut likely getting that DRS coming onto this second straight into turn 4. So Daniel P. Wheelnut is now DRS wide open. Is he going to use the battery? Is he going to be able to make a move on Dom Smith? He goes up the inside. No, he thinks about it. And it looks like Dom has taken the high ground when it's come to that move. And use of that battery for Daniel P. Wheelnut along that back straight wasn't the best idea. What do you think, Jack?
Oh, it was a crazy move to begin with from Daniel P. Wheelnut. It was absolutely spectacular racing. This is what we've been waiting for with these new regs. But Dom, just that composure we talked about in qualifying, he was nice and composed. He backed out into that final corner and just said, if you want the move, you can take it, because I'm going to take you like a sitting duck on that start-finish straight. And it was great from Dom, and he's still got 20% more battery. So nice and composed from Dom, and that's what we were talking about at the start. That's what you have got to be if you want to win some races.
Yeah, Dom's showing his experience in TGP2 there. He has 33 TGP2 wins to his name. And as we've said, you've got to be consistent and you've got to know what you're doing and not take the risks in order to get that top spot within this league. So Dom Smith showing his experience. Daniel P. Wheelnut 3/10 behind, so he's not out of the game yet, and this is going to be interesting. We're going to stick with this going along the main straight. DRS wide open for Daniel P. Wheelnut as he's coming down. Looks like he's not using that much battery and staying within touching distance. I think he has learned that, and he's going to have the DRS yet again to go into turn 4. So gets a good exit there and takes plenty of curb there as you can in this game. DRS wide open again. Looks like he's now using the battery to go in. Is he going to make a move into turn 4? No, he thinks better of it. So he looks like he is just trying to stay in touching distance, waiting for Dom to either make a mistake or have all that battery in order to make that move.
He's trying to save his battery as much as he can, but Dom's car placement is just beautiful at the moment. He can't go for that late move because he just doesn't have the speed for the following straight to stay ahead, so there's no point actually overtaking him at the moment.
We just cut to Jacko here, and Jacko make a move up the inside. Oh, that was a close. That could have been contact with Kaya. We had a couple of moves developing up to get to what we've just seen on screen now. So that was very, very close. And Jacko coming out on top, but that could have been an absolute plane crash. So glad to see that didn't become the plane crash that we thought it might be. And Kaya's still with him. Looks like Jacko was very slow out of that corner. So Kaya's going to be within touching distance coming into the back straight. But I'm going to cut back to Daniel P. Wheelnut now and seeing that he is within 3.5 tenths touching distance and what he's going to do here, as Kaya seems to have dropped now, so that fight seems to be over. But Daniel going quite wide there. Looks like he's lost a bit of time as John 1874 gets 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings and probably multiple corner cuts. Daniel not seeming to use his battery as he's going along here, so yeah, this is far from over with 4 laps to go.
Well, Daniel's using all that battery, and I'm not sure how long Daniel's been in the lead, but it seems a wee bit of inexperience, and it seems Dom's got his number, but Daniel is trying to get the move done straight away, and I think it would serve him long term if he just saved that battery and maybe go for the move a bit later on and just stick behind Dom and keep the pressure on Dom and see if Dom will make a mistake. But Dom at the moment has got his number, and it's a great drive from the Ferrari driver, and Kaya used all of his battery in that battle with Jack Gold. There's a 60% difference, so there's seeming like no chance Kaya will make that move on the Mercedes driver at the moment.
Indeed, and somebody that we haven't been speaking about much in these past few laps is Meir Quemby. He has closed the gap quite significantly to just a second now, so he'll be within DRS at no time at all if these two keep fighting. So this is going to be a 3-way battle for the lead and for the win of this race. How exciting on the opening night of TGP2's new season, as there's been Mike Noon pitting again. It looks like that early pit stop hasn't paid off for him. Hopefully he's got some soft tyres to come out onto, which he has, so that'll be good for the warm-up phase. As Daniel P. Wheelnut now coming into the final corner within DRS range. Meir Quemby just not being able to get within that DRS range just yet, but he could be in the next couple of laps. And yeah, let's stick with this because it is the closest battle on track.
It seems like Daniel's actually more in danger from Owen than Dom is from Daniel. Daniel's got no battery left, and Owen's got a bit more, and Owen could take this P2 at the moment as Daniel starts to close the gap a wee bit on Dom Smith. Here we go into turn 4. He's not brave enough to make that dive bomb move, which is probably the right thing. You don't want to be losing points on the opening day, but Dom at the moment, he's driving perfectly. It's very Leclerc-esque in Bahrain, not Berlin. I've been playing too much Call of Duty.
Yeah, I just cut over to Nell Jack because there was a couple of moves going on there, and it seems like John 1874 has got that move done on Nell Jack now. Despite his time penalty, he's still trying to push up the field in order to try and get as many points as he can from tonight. Let's cut back to Daniel P. Wheelnut again, as he's now within 5/10 of Dom Smith, and Meir Quemby not seems to make the inroads that he was hoping to. He seems to have dropped another couple of tenths there, despite Daniel P. Wheelnut's low battery. So Daniel either is running less wing or he is just nailing the traction zones in order to keep up with Dom here.
Meir Quemby seems to be getting a bit of understeer coming out of the traction zone, so I wonder if his setup's kind of causing him a bit of an issue at the moment. But Daniel this is the closest he's been in a long time to Dom on the start straight. He opens up the DRS to try and close that gap, but neither are using any battery, and he's catching him a wee bit because of the slipstream, but it's just not enough at the moment. The Ferrari is just taking wider lines into the corner to get better exits, as you see on board with Daniel at the moment. Dom Smith seems to have this race on lock with 2 laps to go.
Dom Smith well within the driver's seat here to get that lead and to take that first win of the night. Daniel P. Wheelnut trying all he can by the looks of things in order to get past, as you've just said. And yeah, it's Meir Quemby now kind of closing up again. I'm not 100% sure where he seems to be losing the time. Maybe he's preferring other corners better than the others, but yeah, Daniel P. Wheelnut, as you say, just has no answer for Dom and his speed. As Dom feels a little bit under pressure here, moving over to the left-hand side of the straight in order to try and cut the slipstream. But yeah, look how close Daniel is able to get through that corner. So it looks like Daniel's running a bit more downforce maybe than Dom. But yeah, this is a great little battle as we're coming into the final lap as well.
Yep, Mike Newton gets the fastest lap at the Grand Prix, but as it stands, it does look like Dom's going to get closer to that TGP2 all-time victory list. He's obviously just behind Mike Newton at the moment, but Daniel is right behind Dom, and this is the closest it's been. He's using that 6% of his battery. He's going to have absolutely nothing left for the next straight, so he's got to get the move done here and now. It looks like it could be over if he doesn't get it into turn 1, and I think unless Dom makes a mistake, it looks like it could be Dom's to lose at the moment. But it's a good exit from the McLaren driver. He opens the DRS. Dom has got no battery left either. He's doing everything he can to defend. A late move from Daniel. And he backs out of it, which was a smart thing to do. The Ferrari is just too quick for him at the moment.
That was a very close one. That could have been contact very easily, as we get a nice tyre performance graphic come up, powered by AWS there. Cena, in the last couple of laps, has gained massive time on Owen Quemby and could be taking that podium spot off at Owen if he is not careful. But he's still quite a distance back now, and there's going to have to be either quite a mistake or a major move from these top four in order to change the positions. What do you think?
I don't think there's going to be any moves unless it's down into the penultimate corner, but Owen is right on the chaff of Daniel at the moment. Can he get this final section right? It's the first time through the start of Sector 2 Owen's not lost time to these two, and he's so close at the moment. He's got a little bit less battery, but he doesn't cut the final corner, and Daniel's gone wide, and the Aston Martin has made it into P2. Can Daniel get that move done? He can't. He's lost out on P2. And oh, what a mistake after pushing so hard. He's obviously got older tyres than the two cars in front, but Dom wins in Bahrain.
A great win from Dom. We didn't actually catch him going across the line there because I thought Cena was going to get Daniel P. Wheelnut coming into that final corner. What a fantastic little battle there to finish off the race, as Neljak now comes across the line with Mr. John coming into the final corner. I think you'll be happy with that to get some points. And Jacko, and there's going to be a move going into the fray. Jacko has got him. Jacko has got him with Mr. John's penalties there, and Kaya now coming around the second to last corner onto that back straight. Mike Noon coming through as well, going around that long sweeping right-hander, but Kaya now coming in as we watch him come round, and I think he'll be a bit disappointed from his performance. I think he could have been a bit higher, but maybe just used too much battery in that middle phase of the race. Mike Noon now coming around the final corner, goes a bit wide, to be honest. Despite holding that fastest lap, he is having a weave of a victory coming across the line with Mick Schumacher, and then we just wait for Stereogram coming around the final corner to round out the top 15 of the race winners. So anyway, how was that for you, Jack?
That was an absolute brilliant race. What a race to come back to, and what a start for a new season of TGP2. This is how good the second division is. Obviously there is that gap between winning in TGP2 and trying to get up into TGP1, but the guys in the top four and everyone did the TGP2 division proud with that race.
Indeed, as Dom Smith takes that top spot, he is going to be happy with that to start his TGP2 campaign. And what a little celebration that is for F122 as they're on the top podium there, and the drivers will be happy. John 1874 got given the driver of the day from the game there after that bad start, but then being able to recover up those positions, and yes, spraying the champagne, enjoying the atmosphere in Bahrain, and enjoying what was a fantastic ending to the Bahrain Grand Prix in TGP2 tonight. So who do you think your driver was from that race?
It has to be Dom Smith. The composure to get that start. We talked about how important the start was. He was in P1 straight away. He obviously couldn't keep Owen behind, but Dom had that composure to stay out as long as he could on them soft tyres that were worn. And obviously Owen made the mistake, which cost Daniel a wee bit of time, and that wee bit of time is what Dom obviously needed to make that overcut work. And then when he came out of the pits, he was just on fire. Daniel couldn't get anywhere near him, and that Ferrari, it's just like in real life, the Ferrari around Bahrain is just incredible, and Dom, he'll be so happy with that, and he does get even closer to the all-time wins in TGP2.
Yes, he does indeed. So quickly, top 10 was Dom Smith, Mayor Quemby, Daniel P. Wheelnut, Cena, M. Shep, Speed Sully, John 1874, Neljak, Jacko, and Mr. John rounding out that top 10. And yeah, Dom Smith didn't look like a dominant drive, maybe from the timings and from the moves, but he was always in the driver's seat. He was always in control, no matter what Daniel threw at him throughout that race. So a well-deserved win for Dom there. Such a shame for Daniel to lose out that second place on the second to last corner of the whole race. I do feel for him there. But Mea Quembe had to pounce to that opportunity and take those extra 3 points going into Saudi. So yeah, Saudi Arabia, this is going to be quite a fun one. A tight street circuit, very, very fast street circuit, which can cause lots of drama. What's your view on the Saudi Arabia circuit, Jack?
I think it's a great circuit. It's obviously the fastest street circuit we've got on the calendar in F1. It's obviously very difficult, and you have to practice it very much to master it, but I'm sure the guys have done as much practice as they can. And obviously this DRS, hopefully we don't get too many incidents of people trying to let people through to get DRS for that back the start straight. But it's such a great track, and obviously it's so rewarding when you get it right, but if you get it wrong, it's a 99% chance your race is done.
Yeah, I have to agree with you all on there with those points. But one person we didn't mention actually too much in that race was Speed Sully. He's actually brand new to the league, and to get a 6th place on your debut within TGP2 is quite a feat. So well done there to Speed Sully. And yeah, let's see what he can produce in Saudi Arabia and what the drivers can do here. It's all very setup dominant when it's coming to extracting the best out of the Saudi Arabia, having enough downforce in order to utilize those corners, but also making sure you've not put too much on and to utilize the top speed on those straights as well. So very interesting to see which direction the drivers will go with their setups and who can push it as far as they can without crashing.
Yep, for me it's all about the balance of the car, the brake pressure. You got to make sure you don't have too much front load, because obviously that's swooping left-hander. If you get that wrong, you're going into that wall, and you've got to be very careful throughout the whole lap. But you've got to make sure the pressure on the car is not front loaded, otherwise you're going to be saying hello to a few spins, and you don't want to destroy your car like Mick Schumacher did in the first time we went here in qualifying. Yeah,
for sure. And one corner that seems to really catch the drivers out here is that long sweeping hairpin right at the bottom of the circuit, the higher speed one, because you're going out through there in 4th and 5th gear. The traction on this game through 4th and 5th can still be a bit dodgy despite the patch update on the handling. So drivers will have to be really careful there if they want to make sure, firstly, that they can stay in the race, but also to extract the most lap time they can around the Jeddah circuit. So who's that going out first? Kaya, the first out of the pit lane, and coming out of here can be a bit of a scary experience with medium tyres, especially as Kaya's already touched the wall there, so really struggling there to get his tyres lit up ready for the outlap, and Mike Noon out as well, so probably stick with Mike Noon for this one to see what the representative time he's going to set is. But yeah, this section as well, got to make sure that you don't go across those track limits, as we do run strict corner cutting in TGP2 as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch here. And any other pointers that you can kind of give us here, Jack, on this circuit?
Well, you've got to stay nice and tight on the curves. Obviously, these curves aren't as bad as any other track. They're not going to throw you off too much as they seem to be into the ground. But it's going to be nice to see Mike Noon and see what he can do. Obviously, we didn't get to see his qualifying in Bahrain. I'm not sure if he had a ban or if there was some other situation there, but nice to see him with his representative lap time, and he's using a bit of the battery on his out lap, but obviously that won't be a problem as you get a limit for your qualifying lap. But you just got to keep it, it's about who's the bravest. How brave can you be? How much downforce are you not going to use? Because you need that straight line speed, otherwise you're going to lose so much time. So it's all about who can be brave in the setup, who can be brave on the brakes, and who can get closest to the walls without destroying their suspension.
Indeed, as he goes quite wide to get that best run that he can, going through the final corner to get the most speed to go down the back straight. So we're going to stay on board with Mike Noon here as he's coming into the first corner. Nice and wide line, going straight into turn 1 to utilise to come out to turn 2 and down on the power going through turn 3 in order to get maximum top speed. What's he going to do here? So again, nice wide line, nice cutting that corner, which you can do on this game in order to maximise the time. Nice and tight up to the wall here, and nice direction change. Has he gone a little bit too wide there? I'm not 100% sure, but cutting over this curb here, and he is going to continue through this lap as he comes down to that all-important corner that you have to get right in order to maximise your time here. So nice and sweeping left-hander. He seems to have the back end well in check as he comes out of there, as we're seeing plenty of sparks. So running very low ride height around Jeddah, as low as you could probably get it, and nicely through here as he goes nice close to the wall, coming up to the DRS zone. What can he do here to really maximise? He's going nice and tight to those walls and nice and tight to this wall to maximise here as well. Shift down to 6th or 5th gear coming through this corner. Oh, he's gone a bit wide. Will that be an invalidation? I'm not 100% sure. Through DRS round here, nice and tight round this wall, and then let it all just sweep out to the right hand side, ready to get a nice wide line coming through the final corner. You want to shift down to 3rd or 2nd round here, and he is taking a late apex, foot flat to the floor. DRS going to be wide open now as he comes up to the line. What's the representative time going to be here from Mike Noon? Oh, it must have been invalidated. I don't have that data on my screen, unfortunately. So, but that looked like a nice tidy lap, and if he hadn't gone wide through that section, then I think that would have been a quick one as well.
Yeah, he invalidated the second time he ran wide, but a 32.1 is what he did do, so I think the speeds will be a little bit faster than what Neil Jack's just set. Cena's on a lap at the moment, as it seems he's coming out the final corner now on the rundown to the start-finish straight. Let's see what the Haas man can do and what time he can set. It's a 36, so he was much faster than what Mike Noon did, but was Mike Noon slowing down a wee bit towards the end after invalidating his lap?
Quite the possibility there, knowing that you've invalidated. It's one of the worst feelings you can get in qualifying, when you think you've absolutely nailed it and then you just go wide, or you just touch a wall or do something, just a slight lapse in your concentration, and you've thrown away such a good lap. But a great effort there from Cena, 4 seconds ahead of Neljak. So Cena, the man to beat at the moment. Let's see how all of the other representative times develop, as it is very easy to get a corner cut penalty here around Jeddah. Anybody else currently on a lap going for an attempt at the moment?
Blair Grills at the moment, I think, is on a lap. He's just lost his end plate. I think he's lost both, actually, so I don't think this is going to be a representative lap time. And no, it's not. My lap time has just fixed itself on the PlayStation 4. Not up to date as everyone else, so I'm a little bit behind on the speeds at the moment. But yeah, it was a shame for Mike Noon because his lap was so good to start. It looked perfect, and he got away with an invalidated lap for the first time for me. I think he did go a little bit too wide, but it seems that he got away with it, but then just threw it away. And it's such a disheartening feeling seeing that black and white flag when you're on a quali lap, giving it everything you possibly can, and it just doesn't work out like that. And then Mr. John coming into the pits, it doesn't seem like anyone currently is on a representative time, except M-Shep in the Alfa Romeo, I think, is on one. He's coming up to the final corner now. We'll see what he can do. He's got plenty of battery in the tank, so can he get a representative time? It doesn't look like it's going to be as good for the top 5, although it will be at the moment, but it won't be in the long run. And it's a 33.9, so not really good compared to Cena. Cena looks like he set the bar for everyone else, but obviously the guys that did end up at the front haven't set times yet at the moment.
Yeah, Cena really currently dominating this this qualifying session, and can anybody bring it to Cena? As it looks like we've had a crash in the background there. Was that Owen Quemby that I've just seen crashed in that tight section? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, waiting to still see the likes of Daniel P. Wheelnut, Dom Smith, John 1874 to set a representative lap time that could be bringing it to Cena around the Jeddah circuit. But I mean, I don't know what time I did in Jeddah last night, but I don't think it was a 1:30.6. I think it was slower than that, to be honest. But yeah, fantastic lap from Cena there to get right out of the door and have some confidence.
Well, he's struggling at the moment. He set that lap time, and all I've seen him is spin in the sector at the moment, but I think his tyres are a bit heated up, so he's just got to let them cool down a wee bit and then get back on with things. But Owen is actually out of the session, so that crash has actually cost him his chance of getting on the front row of the grid, and Mr. John is also out as well as we head into the final 11 minutes of qualifying. We're going to see if any of these people who are currently out on out laps can get anywhere near that amazing time from Cena at the moment. And it looks like the first car that will come round is Mike Noon, if I've got the Alfa Romeo right. It looks like he's going to be the first one to try and challenge the Haas.
Yeah, Daniel P. Wheelnut is on a lap at the moment. He seems to be keeping it all nice and clean, not invalidated yet. It's a 33.5 as his first sector time. I'm not sure where that is with regards to Cena's, but he's coming through that long sweeping right-hander and nice and tidy. Not going too close to the walls, as you've got to really be careful going too close to those walls, as you can very easily take a front wing end plate off and completely ruin your downforce going around here. Coming through the second sector, coming up to the first DRS section, DRS wide open as he is winding up for this all-important tight left-hander. How does he take it? Oh, it's wide. Oh, has he kept that going? Yeah, he's kept it nice and in a valid lap still. Sorry, I was looking for the words there. DRS wide open as he's coming up to the final corner. What can he do here to challenge Cena? Will he get close to that 130.6 in order to challenge for that all-important pole position round this circuit? Coming up to the final corner, DRS wide open, nice and tight to the pit wall. What's he going to do? Oh, just under 8/10 behind Cena. So Cena has, by the looks of things, had an absolute flyer out there on his first attempt.
Yeah, he's been absolutely crazy. That lap time is amazing. Speed Sally up into P2. I was on board with him. What a lap time that was for him. I'm going to be very surprised if he can beat that. Mike Noon has actually got a purple sector 1 and a purple sector 2. I don't know how his lap is not invalid on my screen at the moment. He's got a couple of corners, but if he gets this on pole, he'll be absolutely buzzing. He's purple for both sectors so far. Coming through the final corner, it's a lot tighter to the apex than he has been on his previous laps. On the run down now onto the start finish straight. It's not going to be pole, it's P3 at the moment, and maybe him not being so close is why his lap wasn't invalidated.
P3 is still a good place to start here around Saudi, and absolute shout out to our newbie of the evening, Speed Sully, for getting onto second place and getting within 4/10 of Cena from what seemed to be an absolutely flyer of a lap. So great to see there. Daniel P. Wheelnut slightly off the pace here, just under 8/10 away, and we're still waiting for Dom Smith to be able to do that lap to see where he will be in terms of the representative time, as John 1874 goes to a 130.1, 5/10 the gap between John 1874 and Cena. Absolutely fantastic effort there. So looks like the track might be evolving and people might be getting quicker, or John 1874 has had that in his locker waiting to unleash it just at the right time. So fantastic lap there from John 1874.
Well, I think Dom, that's a great lap from John as well. Yeah, he got pole obviously in the last session, so obviously he is the man with a one lap pace, but hopefully he's not a boss man Sean and can only do it on Saturdays. We'll see if he can do it later on in the race. But Dom, maybe he's just seen that people are retiring, people are struggling. Maybe Dom and his Ferrari pit crew are just maybe thinking we'll go one time at the very end of the session so we don't crash or lose any confidence going in to a lap later on for the last time.
It's a very risky strategy there from the Ferrari guys. If they're thinking they're going to do this, if it was me, I'd want to bank a lap in just to make sure I've got a time on the board. But each to their own as Cena starts another lap. Let's see what he's going to be able to do and see if he can drop that gap from the 5/10 that he is behind John 1874 and see if he can go for that all-important pole time as well. Coming through this corner here, nice and tight to the wall, and you can lose the back end a little bit here coming through this section if you're not careful, especially on the colder tyres, but he seems to have this nice and planted. Oh, and he's gone wide. Is that going to be valid still as he's coming through? And yeah, he's gone quite wide there. I'd imagine that he is backed out of this, even though he was 3/10 quicker in the first sector there, so I'm not 100% sure why that wasn't invalidated, because it was quite wide, but let's stick with it anyway. Coming through the second sector here, nice and tight to the wall, drop down to say 6th or 5th gear, and nice and, that was close to the wall coming through there. Coming up to the first DRS zone, make sure that DRS goes wide open as soon as possible to gain the maximum top speed that you can, and come down here. He's second sector purple now, so nice and tidy through this section as he's coming up to the second DRS zone of the lap. Nice and wide open, nice and tight as you come around here. Can he match or even beat that 130.1 that John 1874 has set as he takes a nice line coming through late apex? Ooh, close to the wall, but that's going to give you maximum top speed as DRS comes wide open, nice and tight to the pit wall. What's this going to be? Oh, just over a 10th difference. Purple third sector as well, so it seems that he's lost all that time in the first sector, Jack.
Yeah, it was a great lap from Cena. Obviously, the way he went wide was actually very similar to Mike Noon, so maybe that's something we're going to have to pay attention to. It does seem to gain you a wee bit of time, and it maybe should have been invalidated, but other than that, it was a great lap, and he did lose a bit of time in that sector one. So, John, at the moment, looks safe, because it doesn't look like Cena's going to have to get a move on if he wants to set another lap, and Dom Smith's actually left the session, so maybe he's going to need another invite back unless he can't compete. But as I was saying about his strategy, Ferrari and strategies, what do we say about that anyway?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Maybe he should have got that early banker lap in just to make sure that he wasn't there and plumb last, and he's going to be good about that considering his performance from Bahrain. But just on board here with Speed Sully, going for what could be his final attempt here in qualifying. Can he drop that gap from just under 9/10 to John 1874 to go for that pole lap time? And he is nice and tidy through that section. Hopefully that'll pay dividends as he is just under 2/10 quicker, and a purple first sector here, so a good start here. And as he's coming round, can he continue on his performance through the second and the third sector, Jack?
Yep, it's been great so far, and it seems to be, if you don't cheat and cut that corner, you seem to gain a bit more time, as the purple sector from Speed Silly proves. But he's on this back straight. The DRS is now open, gaining that extra bit of speed to try and get that pole position, provisional pole. He's probably not going to get another chance at this. This is probably going to be his one and only time, and he's nice through that section. Opens the DRS again. Hopefully the yellow flag, that Ferrari will move out of his way. It does. Lovely from the Ferrari ahead. I'm not sure who that was, but it's nice and tight so far. Can he get this final corner right? Oh, he's lovely on the apex. This is looking good. Can he get on provisional pole the Alpine? Can he get the provisional pole that he so desperately wants? And no, he doesn't gain any positions, and I think maybe that Sector 2 time just cost him a wee bit. But in Sector 1, he seems to be the man to beat, so we can see on the start of the race, maybe he'll be the man for the start.
Yeah, by my screen, maybe there was a bit of a glitch in the system there, but he got a purple Sector 1 and 2, so sounds... He may have lost that time in the third sector. Maybe that Ferrari just put him off a little bit and he might have backed out a little. But yeah, he's got 2.5 minutes still left in this session in order to set another one. So maybe a cool down lap, recharge the battery and go again to go for that pole time. As Daniel P. Wheelnut has just gone even quicker, just over a 10th difference from John 1874. So Daniel P. Wheelnut looks to have nailed his lap there. And this is going to be, hopefully, just as exciting as Bahrain was with how close it was coming into the race. So, yeah, all to play for here, and this qualifying is definitely far from over.
Well, the top four are separated by 4/10 of a second. This is what we needed the regs for. Obviously, they're not following each other at the moment, but hopefully we can get this closeness in the race. Cena's obviously coming back out now for his final push. It looks over for Daniel at the moment in qualifying. It looks like he's not going to go any faster. John is also on a night lap, so it's going to be good to see Mike Noon up in fourth. Obviously, he's currently just improved by 9/10 according to my screen, so if that's the same for you, that's a great lap from Mike Noon.
Yeah, Mike Noon sticking it there, 2/10, just under 2/10 away from the pole lap time. It was a massive gain. It was the 9/10, as you say. So good to see Mike Noon getting some pace and getting that nailed down in his lap time as well. Who else can we see challenging for the pole time? I'm not sure. Speed Sully seems to be going for another attempt now, so let's stay on board with Speed Sully for this one and see what he can get, because he was quick through the first and second sector, and hopefully he can nail it for the third as well and challenge for that pole time. As there seems to be a crash, it looks like Neljak has crashed out through the same corner that Mick Schumacher crashed in his Haas in real life this season. As we come up to the first sector line, it's a tenth quicker. I'm not sure if that was purple, but either way, it's still a good start to the lap as you come around that long sweeping right-hander, keeping the back end in check nicely there and coming through, shifting down nicely for these corners here. What's he going to do? He is nice and wide and close to that wall as he's coming up to the first DRS zone. Nice. Gets that DRS open and comes up to the second sector line. What's the second sector going to be? He's 2.5 tenths up, purple middle sector there. So, and he's just invalidated at the last moment. Oh no! Oh, good for him. But that was looking so good before that invalidation, wasn't it, Jack?
It was looking good, but I tell you who's on a lap. It's Cena. He's up by a tenth at the moment, which would put him on pole. It wasn't a purple sector, but he did improve, and he's looking good at the moment to take pole position if he can just get the rest of this lap right. The Haas man, he didn't do a Mick Schumacher crash. It's looking good. He's so tight on them curbs. He looks so brave, and it's a purple sector too. It looks good for Cena at the moment. Obviously John is on a lap, but the Haas driver is looking brave, he's looking confident, and he's getting all of his braking points spot on for me, and it's looking perfect at the moment. Can he get it? It's a wee bit wide, but it's going to give him some good traction and a good run to the start-finish straight. The DRS obviously open. Can he get pole position? He does! It's a pole! Just under 20 thousandths of a second. Cena takes pole, but John obviously, what is he doing at the moment?
Wow, so it looks like John's actually backed out of his lap, so that is John's qualifying over. Cena currently on provisional pole. Is there anybody else who'll be able to challenge him for this? Jacko on a lap, but I'm not sure he'll be able to challenge that pole time. We'll soon wait and see. And yeah, M. Shep looks like he's going into the pit lane. So Jacko here coming through the final DRS zone up to the final corner. Let's see what position he can gain from this and see if he can challenge that pole time. I'm not sure what his first and second sector were looking like, but looks like Jacko has also backed out of that as well and had a nice little spin just to add to that. So that's qualifying over for us. What a great lap from Cena to just pip John 1874 there for pole time, and Daniel P. Wheelnut will be happy with that attempt, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, it's great. The top six, are perfectly. And just to give Jocko his props there, he was actually hadn't set a lap the whole session, and he actually did that 30.8 just a lap before you went on board with him at the end. It was actually very well. He was struggling the whole session, but to get that close to the leaders, well done to the Mercedes driver. But what a lap from Cena! It looked like it was over when John got that 30.1, but then Daniel got close, and then Cena took the pole. What a qualifying session, and the top six are covered by 7 tenths of a second. This has been such a great start in the first round 1 and round 2 at the moment.
Completely agree here. So let's run through the order. So Cena on pole ahead of John 1874 with that very tight gap with Daniel P. Wheelnut just under 1.5 tenths behind in third position. Mike Noonan fourth, 2 tenths behind the leader with Speed Sully having a great qualifying there in fifth place. Jacko in sixth with Blair Grills behind in seventh, and M. Shep in the 8th position. Neljak in ninth, 2.2 seconds behind the pace with Mick Schumacher rounding out the top 10. Then following is Stereogram in 11th, Indecisive Mackie 12th, Kaya 13th, Mr. John 14th, Mayor Quemby 15th, and that risky strategy from the Ferraris of Dom Smith 93 in 16th not paying off. So as we get ready for the race now, that all-important start and that very, very tight section coming through the first and second corner, what will drivers have to do here to make sure that they stay nice and clean and to gain as many positions as they can off the start, Jack?
You've got to remember, it's not qualifying, it's not time trial. You cannot brake as late as you can into the first corner. Obviously, that's the same at every track, but Saudi Arabia is even more important as the hairpin is just on that straight away, pretty much. It's about 150 metres off the start line if you're on pole. You've got to be careful. But just got to keep it nice, give everyone space if you can, and make sure if you see a gap, go for it if you can, because this track, obviously the straights are going to be quite easy to overtake, but you do not want to be sitting behind someone's rear wing during that sector too.
Yeah, I completely agree with you here. And drivers will be starting on colder tyres than they'd hoped for as well. So it's going to be very tricky to keep the car. Oh, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And it's lights out and away they go. And it's another great start from Cena. John 1874 bogging down off the line there as Cena's into the first corner with Daniel P. Wilmot going around the outside of John 1874. He's had to cut slightly there and probably going to have to give the position back. But Speed Sully off to a good start as well with Mike Noon in 5th and Nell Jack in 6th. And this has been a relatively clean start for Saudi Arabia by the looks of things. And so it looks like there's been some slight changes here in the order with Miss Dom dropping back. And there's been an accident. Mick Schumacher already out of the session. Will that be an early safety car? As we love to see them in Saudi Arabia, according to the game. But yeah, relatively good start there. And John 1874 bogging off the line there yet again, Jack.
Yeah, it wasn't a great start from him. He needs to practice his race starts at the moment. But here comes Mike Noon. Oh, what a lovely move down the inside of the Alpine. And it looks like he's made that position up into P4. What a start. What a Grand Prix. And Dom Smith is actually not in the race, I don't think. I think so him in P9 is going to be a little bit off-putting, but I don't think he got back into the session. But yeah, what a start from Cena. And John has got that position back. Obviously, because Daniel did cut the corner on turn 1.
Yeah, I only caught the end of that move there from Mike Noon, but to make a move anywhere but the straights around Saudi Arabia has to be a good one because it has to be nice and clean. So great start there for Mike Noon, getting up into 4th place from his qualifying as he is under pressure already from Speed Sully. Speed Sully showing that he's got some pace around here. So Speed Sully definitely one to watch as he is right on the back of Mike Noon here. Coming up to the back straight, Cena setting the fastest lap of the race there. And what Speed Sully around the outside, who's going to be the latest of the breakers? Mike Noon has that inside line and keeps the position, so Mike will be happy with that. But Speed Sully putting plenty of pressure on there, Jack.
Yeah, that was a great move. Speed Sully's just got to keep it going. I tell you what, further back down the order, Jago and Owen just made a great move on Stereogram, and Mr. John as well. Stereogram seems to be struggling.
Oh, and Mr. John's round, and he's been touched twice. Oh, sorry to interrupt there, but it looked like Mr. John had that move covered and just got taken out by his fellow racer there, unfortunately. Such a shame because...
Jago's round as well. He's lost it on the curve. What? Saudi Arabia throwing up surprises all over the place like usual.
Yeah, so it shows how tricky this circuit really is, and drivers have to have 110% concentration in order to make those moves correctly, as Neljak seems to have gained a position on Stereogram. This is what happened when I commentated on TGP2 last season. You just cannot keep up with all of the battles going on track and all of the moves because they're just happening left, right and centre all the time. So apologies to the viewers if we miss anything key here. We're trying our absolute best to try and keep track with them as we go on board now with Mike Noon, who seems to be one of the closer ones on track. And he will be wanting to make pressure on Daniel P. Wheelnut here. Daniel P. Wheelnut not seeming to be able to keep up with the top two at the moment, so Mike Noon right under the slipstream of Daniel P. Wheelnut here. Cena sets another fastest lap of the race. Mike Noon going up the inside. He's made the move nice and early going into the first corner, and he's going to make that stick as DRS is enabled. So what are we going to see here from any other drivers, as it seems to have settled down across a lot of the field? The only battle now I'm keeping track of was M-Shep. So yeah, nice and early on in the race for there to be a settling down, don't you think, Jack?
Yeah, I think the DRS not being enabled until this lap has affected that. I think once guys started getting a little bit of a gap and then getting their
Sam Shep has spun. Sorry to interrupt there, Jack, and that was a major spin. Looks like cold tyres and a bit of a heavier fuel load. He's just gone straight into the wall and taken his front wing off. Such a shame because he was so close behind his fellow racer just then, and another lapse of concentration. Sorry, we've got to cut right to the front again as John 1874 is right on the back of Cena here for the lead of this race, utilising that DRS through the middle sector as they come through this, and it looks like
spun!
Oh no! The camera angle was terrible from the broadcast there. It was going under the bridge and have just missed out on that, but Mike Noon has pounced on this scenario here, pushing John 1874 up the order, and he's going to get first place. Wow, what a turn of events, as Daniel P. Wheelnut is on the back of this as well. Goodness me! It looks like John 1874 had to back out of that when Cena spun, but he's got the DRS, and look how powerful that is for him to go round the outside on the back straight in order to take back the lead. But yeah, this is an exciting race, and such a shame for Cena there to spin and to lose out from that great effort that he put in, taking first position on the first lap, Jack.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think that was a wee bit of mind games from John 1874. He seemed to back off a wee bit to get the DRS on the start-finish straight from Mike Noon. But yeah, I think it was just pressure. I think the pressure that John was putting on Cena, he lost it. He couldn't keep the focus. He was too busy looking in his mirrors instead of what was in front of him, and it just cost him in the end.
Yeah, as we're seeing Neljak making a recovery here, he's gone past Cena. Has he gone past Cena? Yeah, he's gone past Cena. I think Cena is really struggling here, almost losing the back end in a Haas in Mick Schumacher's corner as well. So really not a good series of events here for Cena, and he'll need to really dig down deep to try and get that recovery drive back up and running. But we're going to cut back to the lead of the race here with Mike Noon putting plenty of pressure on John 1874. Will there be some more mind games? Will Mike Noon think a bit more tactically about this coming into the final corner, or will he just want to get the move stuck and see if he can just keep John 1874 behind? Nope, he's playing the mind games. He's staying behind him, doing a Leclerc and Verstappen as we spoke about before the race, and he has got that DRS back now. And already John 1874 into the pit lane, looking like he's going to try and cover off that undercut and see if he can get an advantage from pitting early. But it's an interesting tactic considering the number of safety cars that we do have around Saudi Arabia to be pitting this early in the race. That could have cost him, Jack.
It could, but then if he gets far enough around the circuit, he might actually be in prime position to jump in front of everyone. But we'll have to wait and see what he can do later on. It's a bit interesting for me to pit this early, but of course them softs might be going off just a wee bit faster, as John was obviously pushing behind Cena for the whole 4 laps and a bit, so his tyres might just be a wee bit dead following so close behind.
Yeah, Speed Sully
into the left.
Can
he get the move on the McLaren?
What a move from Speed Sully. That had to be drivers trusting each other there not to cut each other off going through there, and that was an incredible move, an opportunistic move there. I'd watched that developing as Daniel P. Wheelnut had gone wide through the sector before it and had lost out time, so Sully up into second place in this race at the moment and wanting to chase down on Mike Noon. But what can Daniel P. Wheelnut do in order to close the gap there, as it looks like there's been an incident further back with indecisive Mackie. Not going to follow that because this is going to be very close coming up here. So Daniel P. Wheelnut going to have that all-important DRS going down the pit straight, and what can he do? He's got a nice exit there. How much battery is he going to use? Let's just see. As Speed Sully is now into the pits.
Yeah, I think he's covering off John. John is putting in a good sector time at the moment. It seems that they've just got to try cover him off or try and be as close as they possibly can. And Owen obviously up into P3, so he's got to just keep going, Owen. He's a little bit further back than Daniel, but Owen could be one later on in the race for a podium push later on.
Indeed, as M794 now currently the closest battle on track, bar John 1874, coming down the back straight with that DRS wide open. What can he do here on Blair Grills as they go down onto the final back straight? Are they going to dive into the pits? No. So this is going to be a proper battle here into turn one. He's got a nice slipstream there. He goes for the outside, but he thinks better of it. Both of them on those medium tyres. I'm not sure if they started on them or if they've pitted already, but nice even match there, as there seems to have been a spin further ahead by the looks of it, maybe from Stereogram. Stereogram's got no front wing as that was incredibly close to his teammate Cena there. That would have been a disaster if they'd had any coming together. As John 1874, sorry I missed that, has gone past Neljak now into fourth place and looking to bear down on that first place that he all importantly lost off the start of the race. So yeah, let's see how this pit strategy works out for everybody as Mike Noon and Daniel P. Wheelnut now come into pit, Jack.
Yeah, about time they came into pit, Neil Jack just had nothing to defend. His tyres have been on since the start. John was always going to get him. He just had nothing as Owen comes into the lead of the Grand Prix. Still to stop, of course. But yeah, the field seemed to be spreading out a wee bit. And Speed Silly, his pit window has obviously not seemed to work as he's dropped right back. And Mike Noon is ahead of Daniel P. Wheelnut and ahead of Speed Silly, so that's what Mike Noon was going to hope for, so that undercut's not quite worked out for the Alpine driver.
Not at all, but it has certainly worked out for John 1874 as he's now up into second position on the circuit, and what looks to be a net P1 at the moment, with Meir Quemby still waiting to possibly pit. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but Daniel P. Wheelnut, Mike Noon and Speed Sully all losing out to John 1874, but with the offset of tyres, can they catch back up as Neljak looking to take back the position? I'm not sure. I think there was a bit of lag there. But yeah, this race is far from over, and yet we still haven't seen any safety cars, Jack.
Yeah, I think that's what Owen's hoping for. He's been on them tyres since the start of the race, but here comes Speed Silly on Daniel Peel Wheelnut. He's opened up the DRS. Can he make a move on the McLaren? He's going round the outside for the inside on the next, and he's done it, but he's gone wide. Can't Daniel get back ahead? And he has. Well, it's good racing, but a wee bit eager, wasn't he, Speed Silly in the Alpine?
He was, and Daniel P. Wheelnut got that all-important DRS going down this back straight because of that mistake from Speed Sully. But Speed Sully will have the DRS now going into the pit straight, which seems to be a powerful one along here, depending on how you're going to use your battery. So Speed Sully going down the pit straight as Stereogam gets a 3-second time penalty, goes up the inside on Daniel P. Wheelnut, and it's going to be a close one, but Daniel P. Wheelnut thinks better of it and backs out there as he knows it was a closing wedge that he was trying to drive into. So Speed Sully getting that move done, Jack, as Neljak seems to now have actually, another lag spike. John 1874 still ahead of Neljak. Over to you, Jack.
Yeah, just a wee bit of lag from the game there. M-Chip has gotten past Mr. John, but he's come into the pits. I think Owen's playing the long game here. I think he's doing a George Russell and just maybe hoping there's a safety car, because obviously he didn't start very high. I think he started P13 in quali. So I think it's a wee bit of, please F1, give me a safety car so I can get some major points. But the field seems to be spread at the moment. It seems like that safety, the undercut from John 1874 has done him good, and he's catching his teammate at the rate of naught, but obviously I'm sure Owen won't bother John too much on different strategies.
Completely agree here. In TGP1 we had 3 safety cars last night, so to see no safety cars even up to lap 8 at the moment is quite surprising for me. And quite interesting as Mike Noon right on the back of Neljak here, coming into the final corner. He's going to have the DRS and nearly goes into the back of Neljak with that closing speed here, but he's got an absolutely excellent drive coming out of the final corner, and Neljak now comes into pits, but all importantly Mike Noon has got past him and can be on his way to chase down John 1874 after the pit stops.
Yeah, he's only 4 tenths behind John at the moment. He's closing that gap, but most importantly, John's gone a bit wide, and that could make Mike Noon in prime position for the overtake, which he has gotten, I think, into the left-hander, and John backs out, which is probably good. But the most important thing is, Mike Noon has a penalty, and he's in the wall! Commentator's curse at its finest for the Alfa Romeo.
Such a shame for Mike Noon. He's in the wall. He's had his all-important spin that I was expecting from the night, to be honest. But yeah, that is cost him dearly. He's lost his front wing end plate. He's going to really suffer now going through the corners with severe understeer, and that is such a shame with that penalty on top. So Speed Sully looked to be quite close behind John 1874 after those set of mistakes. So Speed Sully here could well be within touching distance of a net P1 in this race, and that would be an absolutely fantastic accolade to put against your name as part of your debut, wouldn't it, Jack?
Well, if you can get 2 P3s, I think that's probably one of the better starts in TGP. I certainly did not do that good in my debut. I retired in both races, so the Alpine driver, he's looking quick, he was quick in quali, and he's looking good in the race, and it would be a great night if he could score 30 points. I think you'd be very proud, and I think Alpine would look forward to the season ahead if that's how tonight ends.
For sure it would, and Speed Sully gets a good drive. I'm struggling to see how close he really is behind John 1874 with those lag spikes, but he does have the DRS going along the pit straight. He goes up to the inside by the looks of it. Will he be able to make this stick as he goes John 1874 around the outside? Oh, and that was close, but he's got the cutback. What's he going to do here? Has he got the better traction coming through? As Daniel P. Wheelnut now coming into the mix as well, and he's going around the outside, coming into this corner, and he's made it stick by the looks of it, and that is a fantastic move from Speed Sully, which is now the actual P1 of the race, as it looks like Mayor Quemby has made his pit stop. Daniel P. Wheelnut right behind John 1874, and looks like he's getting the better drive here. I'm not sure, yep, that was a lag spike, but yeah, Daniel P. Wheelnut ready to pounce here, and he just needs to keep his head, keep his cool, and he will get a good chance to fight against John 1874, won't he, Jack?
Yep, it's looking good from Daniel. He's just got to wait. John looks flustered. He doesn't look like he's got the speed he had when he started his stint. It looks like his tyres that are 2 laps older than Daniel's are starting to fall off the cliff with 3 laps to go. Daniel just needs to keep that pressure on him, because Sully, at the moment, what a debut it would be if he can get this race win. I'm sure he's going to be so buzzing to be in that. He's just got to keep composed and keep the Aston Martin behind.
Yeah, but it looks like John 1874 is gaining more of a gap on Sully than Daniel P. Wheelnut is gaining on John, so this is not over for the lead. Look, maybe Sully is saving some battery in order to defend along this pit straight, but it's not over yet, and we've still got another 3 laps at the start of this one to go, as Daniel P. Wheelnut, I'm not sure with the lag spikes what's going on, but he is right behind John 1874. Will he make a lunge into this? No, he's going to stay nice and back. He's going to... Oh, but looks like... Has he gone wide? No, this lag spike is really confusing me on the commentary. Sorry, guys. But he seems to be right on the back of him now. And, yeah, it's not over. It's most certainly not over. Dom Smith seems to be making inroads here on Blair Grills as AI, but we'll ignore that. As Daniel P. Wheelnut still keeping that gap within 5/10 on John 1874. So just bide your time and you will get a good chance, Daniel. What other kind of tips would you give our drivers for overtaking safely around Saudi, Jack?
You've just got to take it nice and easy, get as close as you can, especially with the lag spike. I'm not sure if the drivers are getting what we're getting, but you've just got to stay as close as you can to that rear wing and get the best traction possible on the exits. Take wider lines if you need to. I've seen it at Silverstone when you're coming out before the straight on Cobbs. Just go wide, get a bit of a better exit, and John is struggling big time. His tyres must be gone because he's got no damage and he can't keep up with Sully, and Sully's got no battery compared to John. So Daniel, he's just got to take his time, just like in Bahrain, just don't go all out. And it could be a move down the inside here. He does, he's going to get the DRS on the straight as well, and he's up into P2 at the moment, but they're still side by side coming onto the straight. John has got all that battery saved compared to Daniel. Can he get back ahead? He's got no DRS, so this is going to have to be pure speed from John, and it doesn't look like it, and that's perfect from Daniel. He took his time, he kept his wits, and he did it smart and tactically. He stayed right up his chaff the whole sector 2, and he didn't rush the overtake, which he tried to do in Bahrain, so he's learning from his mistakes already. Well done, Daniel.
Great move to see here from the defending champion in TGP2. Daniel P. Wheelnut up to second place, hoping to get some more important points back after that mistake that he made in Bahrain. And yeah, it seems to have settled down a little bit now. Daniel P. Wheelnut 1.5 seconds behind. John 1874 probably not going to be able to keep up with him due to his tyre situation. And no other real close track battles here with 2 laps to go. But this is TGP2 and anything can happen. So, yeah, keep your eyes glued to the screen because I'm sure something will happen here. It always does. And this has just been an exciting evening so far, hasn't it, Jack?
It's been great. I've loved the battles, the regulations. I tell you what, they've worked in real life. They've certainly worked in the game. I don't remember races this being this close when I was a driver. But I tell you what, props to Speed Silly. Obviously, he got first, and he's been great. But when them two were battling in P2 and 3, he used all of his battery, and he went for it. And he's gotten out of that all-important DRS. And here comes John now for possibly his second final time to get an overtake. Can he get a better exit? He's not, but he'll get the DRS. He's got way more battery. This could be it for P2 and 3 extra points. Can he make the move? Daniel goes defensive. Obviously, he's got to. Can he off the mark, go round the outside? It looks like he's got the move done. He's cut the corner. He's definitely going to have to get the position back. But can we see a final lap overtake?
That was very close, and Daniel P. Wheelnut must have been really panicking there with John absolutely closing in on the back of him coming into turn one, and then possibly having to give some space there as John goes slightly wide going through that all twisty first sector. But he seems to have dropped off now quite significantly. Has he used all his battery up there, Jack?
No, he's got plenty of battery. He's locked the front right on the braking zone, entering the S section, and it's just lost him all that time. Daniel just perfect through the sector, and I think it just caught him out. He couldn't keep up, but Daniel has definitely done well this race to get up into P2. Just a shame he couldn't get any closer to Sally, but what a drive it's been from the Alpine man. It's been great to see him, and for this being his debut, it's absolutely crazy. I can't imagine how he'll feel after tonight. P1 and P3, surely he's going to be leading the championship after rounds 1 and 2.
Yes, he is. I'm sure he is. And yeah, as you said, it's been a stellar drive from Speed Sully here, as Blair Grylls gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As he comes round into the final corner, we have got that fight going on in the background between Daniel P. Wheelnut and John 1874, but we're going to stick with Speed Sully as he makes his debut in TGP2 and his first win in the series in Jeddah tonight, as Daniel P. Wheelnut keeps on to that second place with John 1874 in the background. A good drive there from Daniel P. Wheelnut to keep him behind. Meir Quemby is going to round up the top four, with Cena making a good recovery drive after that in spin that he has beforehand, fighting with John 1874 to take home 5th place. Then we'll have Neljak in 6th place as he's coming down the last DRS straight, with M. Shep at the start of some of the penalty holders, also coming around that section with Mike Noon in 8th, Blair Grylls in 9th, and Jacko in 10th. Dom Smith's AI car, I'm not sure if that'll go towards his standings in 11th place there, with Mr. John also in 12th, running his own race at the back there with Stereogram and Indecisive Mackie. Looks like he is finishing out the top 14 after making a mistake in a spin that will have cost him dear points. So just waiting for Dom Smith's AI car and Mr. John to complete the race. But yeah, I think it's safe to say my driver of the race there was Speed Sully. He drove an incredible race, got the strategy spot on in hindsight as well, and just made the move count when it mattered. Jack, who was your driver of the day?
It's got to be Speed Sully. He was the only one that reacted to John straight away. John went a bit too early. Speed Sully went in the next lap, and we said Speed Sully made a mistake earlier in the race, pitting so early after John did, but he made it count in the end. He made the crucial overtakes, and he used his battery at the perfect time when people were scrapping behind. And what a drive from the Alpine driver. Even in Bahrain, he was really, really good. It was a good quali, and I'm sure he's going to be totally buzzing, and I bet he won't be able to wait for next Wednesday to get back on the circuit.
I'm sure he won't, and yeah, as you say, he's coming out of tonight on a high with confidence that he could be in this title battle, as the game gives Meir Quemby the driver of the day here. And yeah, one kind of a bit of advice I'd give to Sully here is just to soak in that first all-important TGP2 win on your debut, enjoying a big celebration there to show how important that means to him. And yeah, a great podium there with Daniel P. Wheelnut in 2nd and John 1874 in 3rd. Real hats off to the drivers as they celebrate this all great night with the atmosphere in Jeddah. Anything else you'd like to add there, Jack?
It's been a perfect week. I've enjoyed it so much. I'm so glad I've come back and enjoyed the commentator. I'm not that good at racing anymore, so it's nice to be involved in some way, and it's been great with you, Luca. I hope you've enjoyed tonight. But what a race, what a week so far, and I'm so excited. Hopefully I'm going to be back at some point during this season, and yeah, I'm bet gutted. Dom obviously won that race when I bet he's gutted he couldn't take part in the second race, but Owen started P50 and got P4. I'm sure he'll be happy with that, and I'll let you run through the order.
Yeah, for sure. So Speed Sully taking his all-important debut win in first position there, with Daniel P. Wheelnut getting some all-important points in second, and John 1874, not the result he probably wanted, but taking third home is still all good. Mayor Quemby making up all those positions in fourth, with Cena making a good recovery drive in fifth, Nell Jack in sixth, M. Shep 94 seventh, Mike Noon eighth, Blair Grills ninth, and Jacko rounding out your top 10, with Dom Smith, Mr. John, Stereogram, and Indecisive Mackie making out the top 14 of this race. So great racing there, great driving, and I'm not going to be with you in the commentary box for next week, but we will be going off to Australia and Imola for rounds 3 and 4 in TGP2 next week. And yeah, it looks like the championship is still wide open here. Jack, what kind of things would you expect to see unfold here from now?
Well, if Sully keeps that qualifying format and that race, obviously stuff changes throughout the season. People are going to learn the game the longer the game's out. But if he keeps that up, he's going to be pretty hard to beat. John looks like he just needs to get that race start right. He's looking quick over the lap. If he can get that race start down to a T and then just get his strategy a wee bit better, John can be a contender. And obviously, Daniel P. Wheelnut obviously didn't win tonight, but obviously he's shown he's already got that consistency. P2 in quali, and then P2 in the race, and obviously P3 in the first. So it looks like it could be anyone's ball game. If Dom can stay in the session, Dom could be right up there. But I'm excited to see where the season goes. And it's anyone's ball game, to be honest. It's too early doors to say who would win.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Showing his championship prowess there, Daniel P. Wheelnut, to stay within the driver's title, and obviously we'll see how the constructors will pan out over the next couple of weeks as well. But yes, just wanted to say a big thank you to all our viewers from the commentary box tonight. I've been Mr. Chappelli with Jack Craig as well, and see you next week in Australia and Imola for what I can only imagine will be another exciting week of racing. Thank you and bye for now.